Figure Focus, and this week in the world of hot toys we've had releases, we've had announcements, we've had updates. So it kind of started off slow, but when you look back at it, we have a lot to talk about from this last week or so. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about this, and this. So we'll start off with this one here. So this is obviously the character Neo, based on Keanu Reeves, or the likeness of Keanu Reeves from the movie Matrix 4 or Matrix Resurrections. Now, look, if you've been following the channel, you know that typically if I'm willing to part with my hard-earned money and give it to a retailer, a reseller, distributor, whatever you want to call it, or buy-sell trade group, yada, 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 if I'm going to part with my hard-earned cash, the thing needs to be a triple threat. So the figure needs to, I have to like the character, or should I actually, I'll go a bit further. I've got to love the character. I've got to love the source material, and I've got to love that version of the character. There's a few exceptions in the collection, but to be honest, they are few and they are far between. But this particular character, let's go back to 1999, before most of you were probably born. Actually, no, that's not true. According to the demographics on my channel, most people are between I think the peak is somewhere between 25 and, actually, would you be 25? You'd barely be alive. But yeah, between 25 and like 45 or something like that. So yeah, chances are you probably were alive. Anyway, let's dial the clocks back to 1999, and the first Matrix movie was released. Now, by far, the first Matrix movie is the best out of the four. Okay, I would rate that as a 5-star movie. It's not one of the best science fiction movies ever made. It's one of the best movies ever made in terms of having the right amount of brain candy and eye candy, great action, great groundbreaking CGI. I think that's the right word, groundbreaking CGI for the time, and special effects. Just a bloody good story, and there's a lot of brain candy. I love movies that have rewatchability, and I think The Matrix is a perfect example of that. Like, I remember I must have, like, for the first 10 times I watched that movie, I must have picked up on another little piece that I hadn't picked up on before, which obviously it's the movie you need to watch a few times, like Tenet. I genuinely think the reason why a lot of people don't like Tenet is because they watched it once, didn't get it, and didn't really appreciate it. I think you gotta watch Tenet. I'll be honest, like, I've watched Tenet about 5 times, and it took me 3 or 4 watches before I really pieced everything together. And it gets better and better the more you watch it and understand it. Anyway, so 1999, Matrix comes out, groundbreaking, fantastic movie, and it is definitely the best out of the four of them, 5 stars. Then they followed up with Reloaded. I think Reloaded, or Matrix 2, gets a lot of slack. To be honest, I think it's a 4-star movie. It's a lot of fun. It pushed the story around, but then came Revolutions, I have that right. Revolutions are really let down for me. Lots of cheesy script, it's like they didn't know where they're going. They had this like bombshell when they released the first movie, and they didn't quite know how to tie it up. I thought genuinely, in order to really tie it up, there had to be an equally as strong bombshell in the third movie as there was in the first, but unfortunately they didn't deliver that. So the story was lacking. I thought some of the characters in it were really cheese, and even watching it back now, it doesn't have the rewatchability. And then came this. Again, a lot of the time, if you put forward your opinion on something, if you don't like something and you offer a bit of constructive criticism, sometimes it gets called toxic or negative. That's nonsense. This movie was awful. Genuinely awful. Did not like this at all. Didn't find it entertaining. Watched it once. Did understand what they were trying to get at. They called it your meta or whatever. I genuinely think this movie was awful. So I probably would never watch this movie again. So yeah, there's that. So obviously this isn't the candidate for something I want to buy. If Hot Toys came out and said, right, we're going to take a Neo from the first movie and we're going to 2.0, we're going to increase the likeness and the head sculpt, we're going to, make the body better, improve the jacket, the fit and proportions, all that kind of stuff, sign me up. I would absolutely be on board for that. InArt are apparently supposed to be making one. When that will be, who knows? But apparently this is the one that they wanted to make. But I reckon after the success or lack of success of the movie, should I say, I think they've changed their mind. I'm pretty sure John from InArt said they were intending on doing this one, but because of the way the movie went down, they're not. So I don't know, does that mean they're going to go back to the first one, or they're not going to do anything? Anyway, let's take a look at this and put the feelings on the movie away, because we're here to talk about the figure. Sorry about that rant, just had to be done. So first of all, This Neo comes with this kind of bullet shield, we'll say. So it's like he's blocking the bullets, kind of like he did in the first one. And obviously you get these ripples, which are, I suppose, the ripples on the air or whatever that he can see inside the Matrix or something like that. So this is him blocking the effect. Now in the photo it looks kind of cool, but to be honest, like, this is going to look like a clamshell, a piece of plastic in front of your figure. Perfect example, the Battle Damage Mark 85. I've got the special edition that comes with that that holographic shield, which is a bit inaccurate. It would make more sense if the clean version of the Mark 85 came with that holographic shield, because that's when he uses it before the Hulk tries to undo the snap. He would have been clean at that stage. But anyway, I have that. I posed him with it once. I will never pose him with him again. The price, thankfully, on the regular edition, the special edition, was the exact same. But it doesn't look like it does in the movie. Obviously, you can't expect that exact kind of hologram effect. That'd be pretty cool. But it just doesn't look, it looks like you're blocking out the figure, even though it's kind of a bit translucent. And I genuinely think that as much as this looks cool in the photo, it's not going to look like that on your shelf. It'll just like a piece of plastic over it. So the glasses, the thing is, the Matrix was slick. My recollection of the Matrix, okay, I don't want to say recollection, but I've seen it, probably 100 times. It was slick. It was cool. It was very, very stylish. It wasn't just the action was going, or the gun scenes was going, or the hand-to-hand combat, or the CGI, or the story, or any of that kind of stuff and effects. It was slick. It was just that kind of, I suppose, what you call it, kind of gothic kind of style, or whatever you want to call it. So with the black trench coats and stuff like that. These glasses, they're not it. So that's another little thing on it. The next thing is the figure is very basic. I just want to get some photos. It's like the tailoring is good. I gotta say, the tailoring is good. I don't know who this is. Like, Hot Toys do love Keanu Reeves, but I genuinely can't see Keanu Reeves here. And I remember in my pre-order preview video, a lot of people were kind of dogging on the sculpt, but I actually thought that the sculpt was actually okay. But I don't know, it's strange, like with the glasses on, I don't see Keanu Reeves there. Right, so let's see if we can look at any positives just from the shoulders. The shoulders here, the tailoring looks good. So it's basically, it's kind of like a black t-shirt or black jumper with a kind of a stylish overcoat over it. That's a pretty cool shot though. I like the way you can see the code there in the glasses. The kind of, I suppose, the mustache and the beard and the kind of paint apps on the beard do look quite good. This hair looks okay, maybe not as detailed, but then again, it could be just the light. Maybe there's a flash or something like that bouncing off it. It makes it look a bit more plasticky. The thing is, it might be a weird thing to say. Hot Toys sculpts seem to be getting more and more realistic, but sometimes when they miss the mark, the sculpts still look realistic, like they look little 6-scale humans, but not necessarily like the human they're supposed to look like. And I think this particular this particular figure suffers from that. Because from what I remember, the John Wick 4 prototype that they showed at their recent showcase, that did look pretty good. Again, I have to see more information. I'm looking forward for when that eventually goes up for pre-order. Hopefully it will. Hopefully it doesn't end up in purgatory. And it did look quite good. I think the hair on that is quite... I think people were saying like they were giving out about the hair, but it was kind of, from my recollection, it goes down, kind of flicks out a bit. And Keanu Reeves' hair, I remember it was quite long in John Wick 4. I think it was actually a bit longer than it is here. So I think the hair sculpt in that looks better than this here. The tailoring does look good though. I'm always impressed by the 6th scale tailoring, the cut and sew, and how the coat actually sits. But I mean, for me, it's the Matrix one. It's the long trench coat. That's the one I want. This is very stylish. This is a coat you nearly wear yourself, like, you know, but it doesn't, like, I wouldn't go wearing that trench coat from the first one, but Keanu Reeves looked cool in it, that's what I'm saying. But this is actually a pretty nice coat, but it's just, I prefer the trench coat version, basically, the first, the more kind of a, not as fashionable one, the kind of a bit more, how would you describe it, urban. This one looks kind of a bit too chic for Neo. I do like the kind of second look that he had in, I think it was Reload and Revolutions, more like a priest kind of collar. It was kind of almost somewhere between a kind of a priest clerical kind of a get up and almost like a Japanese kind of a setup as well. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, the head sculpt, okay, from that photo, this actually looks a bit better with the, usually a lot of these figures comes with glasses, especially if the glasses kind of aren't just like transparent, they're kind of like blacked out glasses. When you pop the glasses on them, the likeness gets better. Perfect example would be like the T-800 Terminator. Great figure. Does have the likeness of Arnold Schwarzenegger. but when you pop the glasses on, because it just covers up a bit of the eyes, actually looks a lot better, a lot more like him, and looks a lot more like the Terminator. This here is the opposite effect. When those kind of tacky glasses go on, it looks a lot less like him, which is kind of strange. Because there I can see, if sounding him going back on what I'm said now, again, like, look, I can see Keanu Reeves here. Not the best head sculpt though, not the best head sculpt. Strange the way when you pop the glasses on, it looks less like him. I think maybe that's because the forehead is the thing that is, when they put the glasses on, your attention gets directed away from the glasses onto the forehead. Maybe that's the reason that I'm not really seeing it. Yeah, I can definitely see a bit of Keanu there, but it's just not all the way there. That's a pretty cool pose. Yeah, for me, thought the proportions were quite good, and I do like the cut and sew and the tailoring on this. Head sculpt could be better. Those glasses do look awful, and the bullet time effect, not for me. All in all, I was never going to get this figure, to be quite honest. Even if they nailed it and the head sculpt was the greatest head sculpt since head sculpts began, I still wouldn't be picking it up, because just basically the movie, not for me. And eventually Hot Toys will probably do a 2.0 of a Neo, or someone will do a Neo that I like and I'll get from the first one. Anyway, so let's move on. The next thing. So these were limited. This was the Disney 100. So to mark the 100 years of Disney, this is what Hot Toys put out. Another Iron Man. I know Disney bought Lucasfilm and they bought Marvel Studios. I completely get that. Like a lot of us now watching, myself included, we have Disney Plus subscription, and we buy Disney Plus subscription because we want to see the latest, Mandalorian season, or Ahsoka, or Andor, or whatever, or the latest MCU shows. I'll be honest, I'm close to cancelling my Disney Plus subscription because of the lack of quality in the Disney Plus MCU shows. I've never watched one and been blown away going, I gotta rewatch that again. Now, the reason I'm holding on to it is for the likes of Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, for the likes of Andor. Fantastic TV. I've gone back and rewatched the Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 multiple times. I'll go back and watch Andor. Hopefully Ahsoka has that rewatchability. So this is a strange move, but then again, Hot Toys are going to Hot Toy. Iron Man sells, and Iron Man sells in general, and it sells very, very well in Asia and China as well. So this is also a limited release. So what this is, essentially, this is the Mark 7. It's the Mark 7 with a Mark 5 paint job. Okay. Do I like the Mark 7 silhouette? Just take away the colors out of it. Absolutely. It's a fan favorite. It's one of the best suits. That's pretty much guaranteed. My own personal favorite is the Mark 6. But the Mark 7, fantastic looking suit, and got a lot of screen time there in Avengers 2012. There's no doubt. Do I like the red and silver of the Mark 5? Yeah. So this is a Mark 7 with a Mark 5 paint job. Does it look aesthetically cool? Absolutely. Do I have any interest in it? No. Why? Because I like screen accuracy. And again, there's no right and wrong here. I prefer, when I look at my shelf and I see a particular figure or character, I like to link that back to the movie, TV show, film, whatever that it comes from, and kind of remember that particular scene, especially if they're posed up in a certain way. Just take a look at the Joker there. He's posed up in that iconic, and yes, iconic, that word, iconic gets thrown around a lot. But for me, iconic has to be something of high quality that stands the test of time. The Dark Knight came out in 2008, that's 15 years ago. Like Iron Man 1, they are iconic. They were good at the time, they're still good now, they stand the test of time. So yeah, when I look up at that and I see him standing like that in that iconic stance, to replicate that hit me scene from that they shot in the middle of Chicago and actually flipped a real articulated truck. They did that. Christopher Nolan tends to think his rule is if you can film it and record it in real time without CGI, that's the way they make it, and then they add in the CGI then when necessary. Someone told me something to do with Oppenheimer. They used very little CGI in it. I'm not sure how true it is, but yeah, I must look that up anyway, because look, practical effects is what he kind of excels in really in the movies. Not all the time, of course. So just flicking through this though, it looks great. Look, it's rare I see an Iron Man that I don't like the look of, but I don't need to have them all. So this is what they chose. Hot Toys chose to mark Disney 100. Mark 7 with a Mark 5 paint job. I don't particularly like this kind of background base thing. I don't think it's going to look that classy on the shelf, to be honest. Marvel on the front of it then, I wouldn't use this base personally. I prefer environmental bases. Classic example, the Bespin Luke base. The Bespin Luke figure is good. But when you have that Bespin Luke and you have a CCFL on it and you have that base lit up, it elevates the presence of the figure. That base, it's rude to call it a base, I think. It's a diorama piece. It's an environmental base, you could call it. It just looks super. It's like a piece of Bespin or Cloud City there in your room. Whereas this here just looks like almost like the Justice League ramp with Marvel on it. Again, it's personal taste. I don't particularly like this, so I won't be getting it. And the exclusiveness, I believe these pieces were limited. This will probably increase in value, but that's not why I collect, okay? I collect because I like movies, I like TV shows, and I like characters from them, so therefore I want representation, a physical representation of them on my shelf, because I like the design of them, because I appreciate the movies, because I appreciate the characters, and yeah, there is a nostalgia there as well. Yeah, but this here looks great, not for me, because I prefer the screen accuracy, and if you're going to get it, more power to you. People are going to flip these. This probably will increase in value because it is limited. I think I want to actually check. I want to make sure. Do I know? Did it even say it here? Because these are the blogger photos. 100th anniversary edition. Yeah. So a quantity of 1,500 units only available in selected markets. So it is limited to 1,500. Doesn't make a difference to me. That's not why I collect. If something I have is numbered and limited, that's a little bonus. Okay, but for me, if there's a figure I want, and let's say everyone in the world had one, I wouldn't care. Okay, I wouldn't care because that's not why I collect. But if there's a figure I want and it is limited to 500 and I want it anyway and I get it and it's limited to 500, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's kind of a bonus. But I don't need other people to lose out or not have something so I can appreciate the thing that I have more, if that makes sense. Yeah, so if it's a figure I want, I'll get it. And a figure I don't want but it's limited, that's not going to attract me to buy it. End of story. Right, so this here, R5D4, a BD72, thanks Mario, and a Pit Droid. The only thing I have an interest here, this is branded Book of Boba Fett, I believe, and I think a lot of people, myself included, at the very, very start, when I saw this, it's hard not to think of these three droids together and not think of that episode of, I think it was episode 5 and 6 of The Mandalorian, when they were fixing the Naboo starfighter, you know, to make it into the souped up Mandalorian, you know, N1 starfighter. It's hard not to associate these droids with the N1. Now, I've been Team Mario from the start. I don't think the N1 is coming. I think it's too big, regardless of how they can disconnect it and package it in, you know, separate pieces. I think it will appeal to only a limited number of collectors who have the space and the budget for it. However, I've also said I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that because I want to see if they actually do it. I want to see what the price is like. I want to see how they ship it. I want to see the reviews. I want to watch the streams. It'll be exciting. It'd be really, really cool to see how big the thing is. So I hope I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's coming. So these droids here, R5D4, if you remember, of course you do if you're watching this, you're Star Wars fan and you've seen New Hope a million times. So this is the one with the bad motivator, the R2 unit or R unit with the bad motivator. Luke's uncle wants to buy an R unit or R2 unit, tries to buy this one breaks and then buys R2, and then R2 can therefore pass on the message to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this here, if you farm by Luke, it could be paired with Farm Boy Luke. If you have a Mandalorian, it could be paired with a Mandalorian. So this was not only played a role in the Book of Boba Fett, but also a role in season 3 of Mandalorian. So like if I was to get this, I would pop it in next to the Mandalorian there. I like, even though typically I'd have one, maybe two figures per shelf. But I do like when you have that one figure, but you have a little small figure next to, for example, the Mandalorian with a little Grogu, or you have Cad Bane with Total 360, you know, or even like, okay, if you see this here, so that's the post Sarlacc pit Boba Fett from the Mandalorian season 2. Probably can't see it there, but he's standing on a smashed up Stormtrooper helmet. I like little pieces that aren't full 6-scale figures. They're not the same size, normal, typical, standard 6-scale figures, but they make sense. They complement the display. This would look great next to Farm Boy Luke. This would look great next to Beskar Mando, or if you have the chromed out Mando as well. I'm not going to rush out and pick this one up because I got to prioritize, as Marco165 would say. It's an opportunity cost. If I pick this up and I spend, I know what is $250 on this, that cuts into a main character that I prefer to have over this, because for me, this isn't the main character. This is a side character. It is a complementary piece, a very cool complementary piece. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to skip on this one. This is the type of thing, maybe if I saw an absolute bargain of a deal on this in the future, I may pick this up. But apparently this is getting quite hard to get. I know it's long waitlisted on Sideshow. Let's face it, that doesn't really matter, especially if you're over in Europe, or you're in Ireland, or you're in the UK, because chances are you probably don't buy it from Sideshow because you've been hit with customs tax way too much, and you can get it from Hong Kong based resellers, reputable ones, and avoid all that stuff. So yeah, fantastic looking piece. I really like the weathering on it. The Pit Droids and BD unit, I don't have any attachment to these because I'm not the biggest prequel fan, so therefore the Pit Droids don't really, whether I have them or not, doesn't bother me. Repeatedly on this channel, I've said my Star Wars is original trilogy, Rogue One, Mandalorian season 1 and 2, Boba Fett episode 5 and 6, very specific, that's why Cad Bane's on the shelf there. Andor, absolutely loved it. There were aspects of Kenobi I liked. There were some fantastic parts in Kenobi, but there were also some bad writing and convoluted storylines and things that went nowhere, and characters were unnecessary. But that being said, bringing it back to this, I would see Pit Droids, the diehard prequels fans would probably like these. It's fine, I probably wouldn't use them. R5D4 is the one I'd interested, and the BD unit, I believe, I can't remember, I think the BD unit originally first debuted in Jedi Survivor or something like that, a computer game. I could be wrong on that, maybe it's Rebels. If you know, let me know in the comment section down below. So I have no real attachment to them. They look cool. It's great to have little droids like that, like your Toto 360. The only droids I really have an interest in right now is the C-3PO from Return of the Jedi 40, which I have ordered, and I'm really holding out. I think that R2 is coming, some sort of version from original trilogy. It would make so much sense. Now that they've done a 40th anniversary C-3PO, I'm going to hold out faith that they're going to do a 40th anniversary R2D2, and they're the two that I have an interest in. But the R5, it would be cool, but I'm not rushing out and getting it. That's a cool little scene they got set up there. Next thing, so just to recap there, that's been released. Neo's released, the D100 Iron Man is released, and R5D4 is released. And this thing's an absolute juggernaut. So first of all, this is the Mark IV Iron Man from Iron Man 2 with the gantry. And here's the thing, this is quarter scale. This is huge. So you're like, your standard 6 scale figure is about this big. The gantry in 6 scale that they've done, they literally did this before. They literally did this from Iron Man 2, the Mark IV and the yellow gantry in 1/6 scale. Beautiful, showstopper, centerpiece, just all of the buzzwords. I remember when this was announced, people were excited when they read the small print and were like, oh, this is a quarter scale. Not a lot of people have the space for quarter scale. A lot of people who watch my channel and a lot of people in this community, they are 6 scale collectors exclusively. Some of them are even just Hot Toys collectors exclusively. But some people dabble in quarter scale. I do dabble in quarter scale. My vision for my quarter scale collection just have 3, because they're bigger, because they're expensive, because the shipping is more expensive. And my vision is very simple. Have a quarter scale figure, an iconic quarter scale figure from Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I've got the Mark III literally behind my camera right now. So the Iron Man 1, Mark III, triple threat. Do I like the character? Of course I do. Love the character Iron Man. Do I love the source material? Iron Man 1, it's the best Iron Man movie, and it is one of the best MCU movies and still holds up. It literally is iconic. Do I like that particular version? The Mark III. Essentially, it's the first real Iron Man suit. I know you had the Mark 1 and Mark 2, but the Mark III was the first time we saw him, fully, designed up, equipped out in that Gulmira scene, in the classic, the red and the gold. I think is there a bit of silver in it? It's mostly red and gold, yeah. So, classic. So that's the Marvel one. And then you've got the DC. Look, I've got the Dark Knight DX19 style suit above there in quarter scale, and I would like one Star Wars one. I'm waiting. I'd love to get a Vader, but I got 2 6 scale Vaders on the way. So maybe I wonder if the Ahsoka show knocks it out of the park. Will Hot Toys do a quarter scale Ahsoka? That would be epic. So anyway, back to this one here. So my point is, I don't have space for 2 quarter scale Iron Man figures. I don't. I definitely don't have space for this gantry. However, I think this particular figure, inside the head sculpt, I think the head sculpt's pretty good. I saw some pictures of head sculpt actually on a stream yesterday, and actually heads up didn't look too great, but this looks a lot better here. So obviously this is after his birthday party, and he's had a fight with Rhodey, and Rhodey's after stealing the Mark II suit, and he's chilling out in this donut with his donut and coffee, nursing a hangover in his Iron Man suit. This here, I think this would look amazing if someone had like a huge room and it had like all the module cases like set up with the strip lights, not the spotlights, but the strip lights with the cool kind of white tone lights. And then in the center, like of course they had different types of module cases, some for vehicles, some for 6 scale, some for statues, quarter scale, whatever. And you had this in the middle with the gantry. That would be an amazing centerpiece. Unfortunately, I just gotta keep it all the way honest. I don't have the space for this and the gantry. I simply do not have the space. Maybe in the future I upgrade to module cases. I can't rule that out. But I'm really, really happy with my DTOFs at the moment. But like if I was to go module case, I'll tell you one thing. I'd be using every bit of available space behind me. I'd be getting custom made, and I'd try to get a setup where you can put in 6 scale, but also vehicles and also quarter scale. That might actually be a bit ambitious for the space that I have. But anyway, I think this would look amazing as a centerpiece. I just want to flick through. There you go. Imagine this in a module case, right? And the module case is completely surrounded, and you've got 6 scale figures surrounding you, you've got some vehicles and everything, and this is, you know, front and center. Even just standing like this with the gantry around it, fully lit up, all wired, hiding the wires, like this is a showstopper. People would gravitate straight away towards this. It'd be the first thing people would look at, guaranteed, especially if it was lit up and center like that. So yeah. I do think this is going to sit though, because of reasons that I stated earlier on. It's very big. It's very big, whether you're getting a quarter scale or the quarter scale and gantry. Like quarter scales without the gantry are pretty big. It's very big. The box is big, which means the shipping's big. If you're getting stung for customs because the figure is more expensive and the shipping's more expensive, your customs is now going to be there for proportionally more expensive. A lot of people are going to just pass on this because they prefer 6 scale, and 6 scale is like, it's one of those scales. What I find so attractive about it is that it's not too big that it takes up loads of space. You'll be able to get a few of them in companion pieces, but also it's big enough that you can get the detail in there, so the faces look like they're supposed to be looking like. You can get good articulation for the most part, not always, and you can get, you know, a bundle of accessories and stuff like that, and, you know, do cool things like light up functions and all that. So I can completely see why people are passing on this. I'm going to pass on this because I have the Mark III quarter scale and I don't have space for that gantry. And truth be told, I do prefer the Mark III to the Mark IV. Now, if there's a Mark VI in quarter scale, that'd be something that because that's my favorite suit, that'd be something I could maybe toy with the idea of selling the Mark III to get the Mark VI quarter scale, you know, use your collection to fund your collection and all that, because I do have the Mark III 2.0 on the way, and that thing looks like it's going to be an absolute banger. Right, so yeah, look, this is really, really good, but it's just too big. It's not for me. Moving on. So this is an update. So far we've had release, and now we have an update. So if you've been paying attention, I'm sure you have. Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse came out this summer. Fantastic film. The best movie I saw this summer was obviously Oppenheimer. Second best was Into the Spider-Verse. So this, like, for me, blew Flash out of the water. Flash isn't even in the conversation. Barbie was better than Flash, to be quite honest. So this here, they originally put this up for pre-order, and the phrase "it looks like a big Marvel Legends" gets thrown around a lot in the 1/6 scale Hot Toys community. And often it gets thrown around unfairly, because if you were to put, like, you know, let's say a bad Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures that has, you know, maybe bad sculpt and a lot of joints on it, and you compare it with its Marvel Legends counterpart, you'll see that there is significant difference in detail. The Hot Toys one is going to win out in the detail and be the superior version, hands down. So I think sometimes people exaggerate when we have a bad Hot Toys figure, and maybe usually joints kind of gets people thinking about that, or maybe a bad sculpt or whatever, or maybe poor paint apps. There's a lot of reasons, I suppose. But I think when you compare the two of them, there's still a significant gap between Marvel Legends and even a poor Hot Toys that looks like a Marvel Legend. However, with the original version of this, I think the phrase "it looks like a oversized Marvel Legends was completely justified, because that's what it did look like. It had joints all over it. It didn't look like it did from the movie at all. And okay, and I just want to put this across, that the movie was so aesthetically pleasing to watch, and the design of this character was so, the way it was sketched, it was almost like when they were sketching the elbows, the sketch lines kind of extended. It was like it was drawn roughly at the end, which is so hard to capture in 1/6 scale, because like, you know, you're taking something from one medium, like this animated medium, and try to put it in a plastic figure essentially. That's so difficult. How do you do it? What do you leave out? However, I think the original version, they definitely missed the mark on. I do actually think it looked like an oversized 1/6 scale Marvel Legends. Would the articulation have been better? Of course it would. Why did they change it? I don't know. But I'm a betting man, and I'm going to bet that the pre-order numbers were really, really low. So low that they realized what's going on. Maybe they were so low, they watched a stream or a video from maybe some of the bigger YouTubers, and they kind of went, okay, yeah, so this is what they're saying, and then they changed it. I would imagine the pre-order numbers is what caused the change, but it is possible that when the pre-order numbers were so low that they looked at a stream or two. But I would, again, when it all goes back to it, it all to do with money, and pre-order numbers, I'm guessing, were low. There was a proportion of people, I'm hearing people in the group saying that, you know, there's a proportion of people who actually don't like this and prefer the original. Again, I am a betting man. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet that the number of people that are happier now with this update and these updated photos and would prefer this version on screen now, I'd say that the numbers, those numbers would dwarf the people who actually preferred the other way. Again, that's just my 2 cents in this. I don't know because I don't have the data in front of me, but I would imagine people are a lot happier with this. Personally, I'm not going to get this anyway. The only figure that I have an interest in really is the Miles with the I think it's the Brooklyn jersey and the oversized puffer jacket and stuff like that. And I think that looks pretty cool. I probably still won't get it. I don't think I like the movie as much to justify it, but I think it's a pretty cool figure. But this here, I'm not getting it anyway. But if I had to, like, there's no chance I get the other one, but there'd be a chance that I would get this. I think this looks a lot better. I think it looks more like it did in the movie. And that being said, certain things in the movie you just can't capture. Like I said, that kind of, it's weird the way they sketched it. They purposely, it's like there was sketch lines would extend beyond the shoulders, and it was just really, really cool the way they drew it. Yeah, so the suit, I think this looks better. The guy's jacked. No mention of the head sculpt here. I presume you're still getting the head sculpt. It does have this blue light technology. I think it's called the blue light. It's kind of like the Black Panther from the Solo movie. Came with these two kind of arches that you put in front of it. You plugged in, powered up by USB, and it shone this light onto the Black Panther, and it revealed all the that suit, when it got hit, it stored the kinetic energy for redistribution, and you knew it was stored up and charged up because it had that kind of purple glow. Really, really innovative. Really, really liked it. And I think this is pretty cool too. This does give the figure something special. It's just, I think it's like, would you display it like that? Like, if you're buying this and I think this is really cool. If I was buying this, I'd want a way of showing that up, even if it's a case like wiring in a blue light or something like that, whatever type of light it is. And just, you know, as I turn on my lights on my app, click the button, everything comes on, the blue light comes on, and it shines on this, illuminates that. That'd be pretty damn cool. So yeah, I think this is much better than the other one, to be honest. Again, I'm not going to get it, and I'd be willing to bet that the more people are happier with this than are annoyed that it's not the original jointed up figure, which would definitely pose better, I would imagine. All right, so the next thing. Oh, by the way, let's just take a recap here. I'm not getting Neo. I'm not getting the D100 Iron Man. I'm not getting R5D4, although I think it's pretty damn cool. Again, love the look of this, not getting it. I do actually collect. Nope, not getting this. And here, this one's a bit more difficult now. This one's a bit more difficult. I might actually come back to this. I'm going to leave this to the last. I'm going to leave Moff Gideon to the last. We're going to talk about this instead. So this was surprising and not surprising. Surprising because it's a quarter scale and it's limited to 300. Not surprising because it's an Iron Man and, you know, Hot Toy's going to Hot Toy. I probably won't even edit that out later. So what you have here I'm going to read the blog first. So, Hot Toys, Iron Man, quarter scale, Iron Man Mark III, golden color version. Collectible figure, Hot Toys exclusive. This year marks the 15th anniversary of the release of the first Iron Man movie and The Dark Knight. The charismatic and wealthy industrialist Tony Stark, who later became the armored superhero Iron Man. Over the years, the high-tech suits featured remarkable strength, speed, agility, granting Stark unparalleled Okay. Right, this is the important part. In commemoration of this special occasion, along with the 1-year anniversary of Hot Toys Shanghai flagship store, we are delighted to introduce the Iron Man Mark III golden color version in quarter scale collectible figure with limited quantity, 300 pieces. See, we're seeing this a lot over the last year. This is actually limited. Okay, this is what, before I felt Hot Toys were, smacking on exclusive on the box, and they might give you either nothing or they'd give you a hologram, and it's like, all right, I can do that with the hologram. You're not going to trick me. But this is an exclusive because it is limited. It is limited to 300 pieces. The rooted hair DX Artisan Joker is limited to, I think it's 4,000, and then the Anakin DX is limited to 3,000. So we are seeing that limited or exclusive nature come back in. Again, that's not why I collect. Okay, I don't care if everyone has the thing that I have. What I care about it is the thing that I want, that I love, that I have a passion for, that's on my shelf. Okay, I would rather, say, if I was given a choice, they're going to release a figure that you love. Do you want them to do 3,000 of them and make it an absolute rat race to get it? And potentially, if you don't get it, miss out on it, you've got to spend more money in the aftermarket? Or do you want them to release 100,000? It's going to be easy to get, but any Joe Sub's going to have it. I'm picking option B because 99% of the time, the only person looking at the collection is me. So once I'm happy with it, it doesn't matter. But look, some people collect because they want the limited pieces. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a nice touch. For example, Big Chief Studios. Rest in peace. Big Chief Studios made Doctor No and Doctor Who figures. They made James Bond figures, so pretty sure they did Goldfinger and a Doctor No figure. But they used to make Doctor Who figures, and they made Arthur and Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders. There was 2 different versions. There was the collector series, which are £260, quite expensive. And then there was the signature series. Now the signature series were £300, very expensive. They were limited to 400 pieces each, and they came with a little metal plaque signed by the actors. I went for the signature ones. I got them on sale. In hindsight now, I got them on sale for £130, down from 300 to £130. And I was thinking, okay, I know it's a summer sale, but these figures just come out. This is weird. That was a few weeks ago, but now they've gone bankrupt. So that's why I got them so cheap. They were obviously liquidating stuff they knew they were on the way out, I would imagine, and they're probably paying bills and stuff like that. So worked out for me. Not so good for people who had figures on pre-order with them and now worried that are they going to get their figure? Are they going to get their money back? So if anyone's in a position, I do empathize with you, and that's not cool. There is actually, if you go onto the website, the Big Chief Studio website, there's an email you can email. I would suggest you reach out to the retailer if you didn't go directly to Big Chief. Anyway, I went for the signature series of both of them. I ended up picking them for 130 each. Not because they were limited to 400 each, but because I wanted Cillian Murphy's actual signature. I wanted Paul Anderson's actual signature. That was a nice touch. Now my point is that it's still kind of cool that there's only 400 of them. So the ones behind me, there's only 399, Arthurs out there and 399 Tommies out there. It's pretty cool, but it's not my motivation to get it. Anyway, this is limited to 300 pieces in stock, exclusively available in Hot Toys Shanghai flagship store and Hot Toys WeChat store. Stands approximately 45, half a meter basically. Streamlined armor. I want to get to the if there's any. There's what's more the figure. This one. What's more the figure exclusively includes a specially designed clear acrylic display case with unique serial number and intricate mechanical patterns. That's pretty cool. I think that is pretty cool, to be honest. So the Mark III, again, the Mark III armor is one of the most iconic. You know, it's like I consider the Mark III iconic. I consider the Mark I iconic, the Mark 6 and 7, the 85, you know, and there's other ones as well. You could argue that point all day. This is basically a golden version of Mark III. So they have, now I don't think this is die-cast either, because the while a lot of the 6-scale Iron Mans are die-cast, the quarter scale ones don't tend to be. The Mark III behind me is plastic. It you know, it looks the part, but when you pick it up, it doesn't have that same kind of weight that the die-cast 6 scale have. But no doubt this is an iconic suit from an iconic movie, but it's not screen accurate, obviously, because they just taken it and spray painted it gold. The fact that it's 300, people are going to be attracted to that. If you're collected because you like limited things and you're an Iron Man collector, chances are you're into this. I would say this is for the completionists, the die-hard Iron Man fanatics, the die-hard Hot Toys fanatics that have to have everything, and the people who really, really like limited stuff. 300 is tiny. There's like 8 billion people in the world. I don't know how many of them are collectors, but a lot more than 300 anyway. So this thing here, they've tried something a bit different. What I like about it, I really like the case, because when I first bought the Mark III, I bought a specific case for it. I think it was called like Legends or something like that. You can get them on Sideshow. They plug in, or they can put batteries in it. I think you can plug it in as well, and they have these little spotlights as well. It's actually quite nice. I've since sold it on because I've altered the way I'm displaying the quarter scales, but I really like the way they're giving you the acrylic case for this. I like the design, the kind of circuitry design on the side, and I like the way you actually have it numbered there. So they're actually doing a numbered figure. That's pretty cool if that's what you're into. So this is the QS. Is that the QS 024? And it's 0 out of 300 you have here. Clear acrylic display case with mechanical patterns and serial number. That's pretty cool. Like they are definitely, the trend I'm noticing is usually they're not making the main characters from the new show, you know, limited in number typically. Okay, like this here, this isn't your, you know, they didn't do this with the Mark III 2.0 that they've done. They didn't limit that. Everyone's going to want that. They're not doing this with like the DX19 or, you know, the sculpted Joker. New figures. They're not really doing it with new figures. Like this is an older figure. They've gone and limited this, but it's let's face it, the Mark III, they've had different versions. They've had a quarter scale out. They've had a few different 6 scales out. So it's not like the new figure from the new show they're doing it with. The advanced suit Spider-Man from the Spider-Man 2 game, it's more or less the same as the advanced suit Spider-Man from the Spider-Man 1 game, just a few extra accessories. So they're kind of like doing this with figures they've done versions of before and making it limited to get people in, I presume, who collect. They're kind of appealing to the people who like that exclusive nature or like that limited nature. They're making an effort. I think that looks the business though, but I'd be looking at kind of going, why do I have this again? Because that's not how I collect. I want the screen accuracy. Still looks cool though, and it, you know, it would be a nice piece. And you know, you have, it's, if there was any movie, or this is the type of movie that I could probably be swayed in. I'm not going to get this, but you know, I could be swayed because the movie is, you know, it's an older movie. It is an iconic movie. It's an iconic suit, and you know, I think it looks the business. It does look the business. There's no way I wouldn't be displaying it in the case though. Yeah, I can't get suckered into this. No, like, look, there's 300 of them. It's quarter scale Iron Man, painted gold. I do think it's gimmicky, but there's 300 of them. So if you collect for exclusiveness, for limited amounts, and you like Iron Man, maybe this is for you. Alright, we'll move on to the last one. This one is a tricky one. As mentioned numerous times on the channel, and probably numerous times on this video, I like a triple threat. If I'm going to get this, it needs to be, if I'm going to get a figure, if I'm going to part with my hard-earned cash, and let's face it, everything is getting so expensive now, whether it's your rent or your mortgage or your electricity bill or your phone bill or your you know, petrol or diesel for your car, gasoline, whatever you call it. things are getting more expensive. Money is harder to hold on to. So these kind of luxury items, I've got to be very, very selective personally. Thank God I'm not a completionist. Thank God I rule out entire lines. I don't need to get stuff from the Clone Wars. I don't need to get stuff from the sequels, the prequels. I don't need to get stuff from the Spider-Man VGM games, or any game for that matter. Typically I run things through a filter. Okay? Do I love the character? Do I love the source material? Do I love the version? Do I love the character Moff Gideon? Class. Giancarlo Esposito, who I actually met in Dublin, ran into him randomly a few weeks ago. I think it was the start of the summer. Giancarlo Esposito is one of the best on-screen villains I've ever seen. I'm not talking about Moff Gideon, I'm talking about Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is my all-time favorite TV show. Just an amazing show, great story, actors, everything. And this guy is an absolute badass in it. So, great as Moff Gideon, is great as plays a Reverend, I think, in The Get Down, and obviously in The Boys as well. But really, really liked his presence. He just has presence. He's kind of like Lawrence Fishburne. No matter what role he's in, he's got that gravity towards him. You listen to what he says. I love the character Moff Gideon. Do I love the source material? I love Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, but I did not love Season 3. I thought Season 3 was a mess. I thought the standard was significantly lower. And that's the kind of, there's the rub. And the last part, do I love this version? Aesthetically, this head sculpt is way better than the other head sculpt. This suit, it looks really cool, but if I had my choice, I would rather the other suit with a head sculpt of this standard. Now, then I'd be thinking, okay, that other figure is getting, it's dropping down in value. Pick one up, pick this up, put the head sculpt on the old one. But there's a few problems with that. You've got to get two figures. I know the other one is dropped down price, but you've got to buy two figures, and then you've got to hope the head sculpts actually can attach on. And then even if you do that, I think you had a goatee in the first and second season, so that's not screen accurate. So that's something I'm probably not willing to do. So the problem is here as well, not only does this look like a good suit, but he didn't do much in the suit. Like, the scenes of him fighting in this suit, I really don't think they're that iconic or legendary. I don't think it was that good. Whereas if you take something like a series like The Book of Boba Fett, overall, bads, wouldn't recommend it to Star Wars. This thing about The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, I'd recommend it to Star Wars fans who haven't seen it, and I'd recommend it to non-Star Wars fans. I wouldn't recommend Season 3, and I wouldn't recommend Boba Fett to Star Wars fans or non-Star Wars fans. However, Book of Boba Fett Episode 5 and 6 I would recommend to both Star Wars fans and non-Star Wars fans, because it's essentially Mandalorian Season 2.5, fills in a few blanks in between Season 2 and Season 3. The Cad Bane scene. Cad Bane's on my shelf. He's one of those rare exceptions. Okay? Do I love the character? I do. The live action version, it wasn't the Clone Wars that sold me on it. It was literally his scenes, his contribution to the Book of Boba Fett. Do I love the source material? No, I don't. Book of Boba Fett isn't a good show overall. However, episode 5 and 6 were fantastic. The scenes with him were, the scene where he walks out of the desert and squares off against Cobb Vanth, some of the best Star Wars media I've ever seen, that particular scene. Fantastic. And then do I love the version? Yeah, I actually really love the live version of him. So then coming back to this, can I apply the same logic to him? And I don't think I can, because as much as the suit looks cool, the scenes with him in this suit, it wasn't like an epic battle where I was like, oh god, I was on the edge of my seat then when he was fighting against the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan. I really didn't think that was that great. I don't think the choreograph was that great. I don't think there was any intensity there. Even when he died, even if it's him, we don't even know if this is him. This guy could be a clone. So that's one argument against it. And the argument for it is this head sculpt looks so good. The suit looks very, very good. Just that right there looks super. You don't even need the guards. If you had the guards, it would look better. I really like this head sculpt. And the more I look at the suit, I really like it. Even there with, like, I would be posing this. Without the helmet. As cool as the helmet looks, he's just another Mandalorian. He's like a Dart Mandalorian, Moff DeLorean, whatever you want to call it. I really, really like the panels on the suit. I think the head sculpt's great. This was done by Yixi, I believe. I think the hair needs a bit of work. Hot Toys are actually outstanding at sculpted hair. They're getting better and better and better. This looks a little plasticky to me now, but I can get over it. The head sculpt itself, rolling eyes function, looks great. That looks like Giancarlo Esposito to me. Again, aesthetically, the outfit does look good. It's funny how they just give him this little spear thing. I won't use these electricity effects. I know that's Photoshop there, but looks great. Aesthetically, can't really fault it. I just wish the scenes with him in this suit were a bit more epic and memorable. So this one, I gotta say, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. Fantastic head sculpt though. Fantastic. Yeah. It could be one of the rare exceptions, because I had a bit of a, I don't like saying hate, but I was disappointed by the season 3 of Mandalorian. And again, I think it's okay to be disappointed, because this whole expectations thing, they set the expectations high, and they set their standard high in season 1 and 2, and then they didn't meet those expectations in season 3, in my personal opinion. It's a pity, because this head sculpt looks fantastic, this figure looks fantastic. If I was breaking the rules, my own rules, I'd be breaking the rules because it's Giancarlo Esposito. And that head sculpt looks fantastic. At the moment though, I'm leaning towards no. Pretty sure I've said everything I'm going to say about this. Yeah, look, head sculpt looks fantastic, outfit looks fantastic. Good job, good job. Yeah, so that's it. We have, just to recap then, we have a pass, you know, get this again before we finish up. Passing on this, yeah, so passing on Neo, passing on this, 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 and this one, it's all up in the air. But I think because of the lack of quality in season 3, I'm probably leaning towards a pass here now. I'm 50-50. I say I'm 51% pass, 49% get, or maybe 60-40 in the favor of passing on this. I don't know. This is one that I'm going to go back and forth, and I don't have an answer for you at the moment. But look, really long video, but instead of doing because a lot of these pieces are pieces that I'm not going to be picking up, instead of just doing a load of like 7 different videos, I just wanted to do one all together and just get it out of the way and catch up. So massive thank you for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, we're at 2,300 and I think 28 subscribers, so massive thank you if you're one of them. If you're watching now and you're not subscribed and you've enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. When we hit 3,000 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway. We're going to do a live stream, and there'll be a question, and the quickest person to give us the correct answer in the live stream there has to be a subscriber, has to be present. Quickest person with the correct answer, they'll get it's a what is it? It's a Winter Soldier from Civil War, brand new inbox, has been donated courtesy of Ian, aka Ancient Silver Fox. So that's the end of the video. If you want to support the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you're watching, you're not subscribed. Go on, click the subscribe button. You've watched. Thank you. And leave a comment. Let me know if you're picking up any of these or not. Do you like limited releases? Does that make a difference to you? Are you picking up one of those 300 quarter scale golden Iron Mans? Do you think the sculpt looks good, or do you think the sculpt looks phenomenal? Yeah, you can also follow me on Instagram and on X. That's it. That's the end of the video. What else was it? See you in the next one. Good luck.